Why you shouldn't be celebrating Halloween in the Southern Hemisphere on October the 31st. Before I begin, if you're a people pleaser, if you blindly follow trends without thinking, if you have no internal discernment and you can't think for yourself, then this video is definitely not for you. Please keep scrolling. For the rest of you, hi, I'm Natasha, and I'm here to teach you a thing or two that will hopefully alter your perspective about how you live in alignment with nature's cycles. Now, I genuinely wish that more people would invest in their learning about themselves, in bettering their mindset, in advancing their emotional well-being and physical bodies, instead of wasting time and energy on an ancient tradition that is out of whack with nature's natural cycles. This has nothing to do with beliefs. This has nothing to do with religion or evil, because everything is in duality, and we actually have two sides of the same coin. Tonight, in the Southern Hemisphere, we are actually in what we call the dark moon phase. And this is essentially about 45 degrees or hours just before the new moon. And the new moon for us is on the 1st of November, Friday night at about 11:47 p.m. So right now, being in the dark moon phase, this is an introspective and internalized time. It's definitely not a time to be out there socializing and mingling. Your energetic fields, believe it or not, actually get caught up in unwanted energies that you don't want to be bringing home with you. You don't want interfering with your own state. And it actually impacts the energy that you initiate and bring with you into the new cycle with the new moon. Now, if you are out there celebrating Halloween, this is not to demonize you. This is not to put you down in any way, shape, or form. This video is essentially an educational form in order to bring awareness to the matter, because it happens every single year and I have a big problem with it. And I only have a big problem with it because I feel it's my duty, and I have this strong internal desire, I can't explain it, to protect ancient ways, and ancient ways are actually more in alignment with nature's cycles than we could ever be in our modern world. Now, it's October the 31st today, and I noticed that a lot of people throughout Sydney have put up their Halloween decorations. I can't even go to the shops. My local Coles, Woolies, Bunnings, Kmart, they've got decorations everywhere, not just for sale, but decorating the registers. And I have a concern with that because this is actually programming your mind. You may not realize it consciously, but it's sending your subconscious mind a signal that, oh, I better follow along and I better get on board with this trend and this tradition that is Halloween. I'm here to tell you, I'm here to debunk that. It's actually ill-advised, because celebrating Halloween or Samhain on what should be Beltane is actually really bad magic and bad luck. Now, you may have heard of the pagan wheel of the year, and it originated in the Northern Hemisphere. And therefore, for us living in the Southern Hemisphere, we basically advance the dates by 6 months, and we invert the calendar upside down in order for it to coincide with our natural seasons as they occur in our local climate. So in Australia, we should be celebrating Beltane on the 1st of November, not Halloween. When we celebrate Halloween on November the 1st or October the 31st, we are actually out of sync and in total opposite effect with nature. Now, to celebrate Halloween around this time is actually sacrilege and is really bad luck. So in Australia, we should be celebrating Beltane because we are entering the summer months of the year. And these cross points or checkpoints that we are referring to, Beltane and Samhain being Halloween and Beltane, are actually the cross quarter. So in other words, they're right in the middle of the equinox season. In September, we had the spring equinox, and then in December, we will have the summer equinox. Right now, we are at the middle point of the cycle. And so this is a festival of the Great White. And it's the great time where in nature, you see all these trees bring out beautiful red flowers, jacarandas start coming out because nature is signaling to us that summer is here. Summer is on our doorstep. And it's actually an amazing fertile time for nature. And so if we think about in our Australian tradition, what happens? What happens in our country around early November? The Melbourne Cup. And the Melbourne Cup, if you'll note, is often called the spring races. And I'm wholeheartedly against the Melbourne Cup, and that's another topic for another day. Don't get me started on that. But can you notice now how it happily coincides with this tradition of Beltane, which is about spring and fertility and summer arriving? And it's, in essence, Melbourne Cup in Victoria is a national public holiday, well, is a state public holiday, not national. Now, on the other hand, Halloween is the time when we honor the boundary between the living world and the dead, and the powers of divination, the sight, the supernatural. Our communication with the invisible is strengthened, and it's considered a powerful yet dangerous time to communicate with lost loved ones. Our ancient pagans used to celebrate Samhain as an acknowledgement that without death, there can be no rebirth. So at Samhain, the darkness increases to become reborn of the light again at Yule, which is midwinter. It's a time to honor those who have gone before us. Now, it is not, or I should say, it is a poignant coincidence that Australia and New Zealand have a day of remembrance for the fallen in war, which is titled Anzac Day, on April the 25th. So right now we're at the end of October. If we rewind the clock 6 months, or we fast forward the clock 6 months, we hit end of April, the start of May. And so that is the time where in nature, we are essentially about to enter the winter season. And that is when Australians should be celebrating Halloween. It is no coincidence. And the funny thing is that our Australian forefathers, well, I don't even know if that's even a term, our ancient, I don't even want to use the word government, because it's just essentially when they came up with the term for like Anzac Day, why do you think they chose April the 25th? Okay, nothing is a coincidence, and balls should be dropping in your mind right now. So for the modern mystic, we should be using Samhain season as a time to remember the dead, especially those who have passed over recently. At the same time, it's sometimes this season is treated as the harvest celebration, as it was in days gone by, a time for bringing in the last crops before the days are darkening in for the winter. It also has become a tradition in recent decades to do the workings and rituals connected to the myth of Persephone and Demeter. If you want me to teach you more about these myths, please let me know, because I love exploring the mythology of it. So essentially, Beltane and Samhain are two spiritual nights of the Wheel of the Year, where the veil between the world is at its thinnest and powers of divination are their strongest. And you should be very, very careful of the energies that are around on these two nights. The pagan Wheel of the Year, and I'm going to share with you an image of what this actually looks like, so you get that visual perspective of how to align your life with this. Sorry, just give me a second, because I think we live in a very visual generation. Okay. Hopefully you can see this, so you get the idea. So this pagan Wheel of the Year turns through many significant dates and festivals, and it highlights 8 seasonal checkpoints, which are celebrated. Now, the seasonal cycle of the Wheel of the Year is one of the key ways in which we set the processes of birth, growth, death, and rebirth, and how they play themselves out throughout our lives. And the Wheel of the Year was created to illustrate this ongoing cycle. And so the story goes like this. In midwinter, the goddess gives birth to a son, the god, who grows to adolescence in spring. In spring, the goddess appears to the god in a youthful form. She falls pregnant to him and grows in beauty through summer and autumn. Over the same time, the god ages and slowly dies, symbolizing winter. In the darkest time, when the days are at their shortest, the goddess gives birth to her son, the god, whom she will take again as a lover in spring, continuing the life cycle or spiral. The god brings forth the force of projective energy, the spark of life, and also the withdrawing and destructive energy of death. The goddess absorbs, reflects, and transforms these energies. The goddess and God are viewed as immortal and imperishable. They are the duality of the divine. Their different aspects are a symbolic shifting of cycles, ones we discover within ourselves, our world, and constantly throughout our lives. This is the process that produces balance within and without, above and below. So, in spite of modern lifestyles and insulation from the natural world, we are still dependent upon the forces of nature, and modern mystics observe the mid-season points to establish and maintain a balance with nature. So this is your invitation to align yourself with these checkpoints. There are time for us to look within, to reassess the life path taken so far, and to reaffirm the directions we wish to take in the future. Now, if you'd love for me to share more about the truth of our ancient origins and traditions, then make sure you let me know. Share this with anyone who you think needs to learn a thing or two about nature's cycles and start getting their life in order. If you like this post, please don't forget to like, follow, comment, and share it with others. I'm genuinely keen to know your thoughts. I thank you so much. I thank you for being here, and I look forward to sharing more wisdom with you. Ciao.